My name is Redison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live from the Workers' Rights Network. Now, we would have picked up on a video just tonight concerning with a live interview from Mickela Pandy. And we was trying to hear from her perspective for a very long time as to her views on what is taking place in our economy and what she proposed going forward. Yes, once or twice, we would have reached out to her, but we would have picked up on a very interesting interview in which we are going to play. Again, stay tuned, look at the video, and don't be a hater, but listen constructively. This is the video up next.
And we have a very important topic that we will be discussing this evening. We'll let you know the details in just a moment. But our objective is always to have an engaging and interactive, as well as a civil discourse in terms of treating with the issues here in Trinidad and Tobago. Discussions at times may be emotionally charged, but surely we can always find common ground if only to learn from each other. And even as a caller to the program, we ask you to allow grace to prevail in respect of the views and or comments of others. But before we get into the program this evening, I just want to take a quick look at the weather. What has the weather been like while the Met Office has discontinued its adverse weather alert issued earlier today? And it says the possibility of impactful weather has decreased, though there still remains a 40 to 60% medium chance of a few heavy showers or thunderstorms favoring but not confined to hilly areas. And other likely impacts include street and or flash flooding in some areas for a short period of time. And gusty winds can also occur near showers and or thunderstorms. So that's just a quick look at the weather as we have it at the moment. Well, our focus today is on a very important topic that has sparked global conversations and is of vital importance as well to our nation. Women in leadership and governance. Women have long been at the forefront of transformative change, yet they have often they continue to navigate the landscape, sometimes fraught with unique challenges and even stereotypes. Today, we explore not only the barriers but also the boundless opportunities for women in leadership roles. Joining me this evening on a very critical topic, a discussion, and what I would call a trailblazer in her own right, the leader of the Patriotic Front, Ms. Mickela Pandy. And just to let you know a little more about Mickela Pandy, an attorney and political leader of Trinidad and Tobago, of course recognized for her commitment to public service and transformative governance. As the daughter of former Prime Minister Basde Pandey, she grew up immersed in politics, fueling her passion for leadership and advocacy. With a law degree from the University of London, Mickela has used her expertise to champion social justice, transparency, and policies that promote equality and sustainable development. Initially affiliated with the United National Congress, the UNC, she later forged her independent path, focusing on engaging youth and addressing pressing national issues. Mickela's vision, though, for Trinidad and Tobago emphasizes inclusivity, innovation, and progress. She is a staunch advocate for youth empowerment, gender equality in terms of education and national unity, often connecting directly with communities to address local challenges. And her leadership style is rooted in listening and collaboration, aiming to bridge political and cultural divides. Dedicated to modernizing political engagement, Mickela continues to inspire hope among her supporters with her integrity, grassroots and activism, and focus on building a brighter future for all citizens. We are happy to have her with us this evening on the Citizens Community Forum, and I would want to also give her a special welcome. Mickela, good evening to you. Welcome to the Citizens Community Forum.
Good evening, sir. Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Right. When I learned that you were coming to the Citizens Community Forum, I said, well, this is going to be a very interesting discussion,
Yes.
because I know you've been working with a lot of community groups and doing a lot of work within, as we talk about the grassroots level,
Yes.
and we can't have a discussion, without talking a bit about your father, which we will treat with a little later on.
Sure.
But I want to sort of focus on what's, just getting a little more of the discussion. And there are a couple of things I wanted to find out.
Sure.
First of all, Mickela, how do you view women in leadership and governance in respect of, the cultural makeup of Trinidad and Tobago?
I tend to look at leadership and governance not in terms of gender. I look at leadership as a good leader regardless of gender. I look at governance regardless of gender. It is difficult for women in politics, but I don't think that we should get either an advantage or a disadvantage. If we put ourselves up as leaders, we should really try to be the best leader that we could be regardless of gender. So I don't tend to look at it to say a female leader is generally better or male leader is generally better. But in terms of Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the world, it is difficult for women in politics because it is a predominantly male world,
Yes,
you
yes.
know,
We hear that so often. Yes,
and
indeed.
it's true. And you sit in meetings, and it's there is this. I wouldn't even say it's a cultural thing just for Trinidad and Tobago. I think it's in the world, and therefore more need to step up into positions of leadership as best as they can. And sometimes what we do is it becomes very difficult. And for young women, even trying to get involved in politics, what I find is the way they speak about you, it's more about what you dress and your personal life and these kinds of things as opposed to what the issues are. So it is difficult, but I think a good leader is judged not on their gender.
Okay. And again, sometimes there's a confusion in the mind as to what is the difference really between leadership and governance. Talk to us a bit about that. Now, again, for the benefit of our listeners, so we have leadership on one end, and then we have governance on the other end.
Well, of course, leadership. A leader has to have a vision for a country. A leader has to have certain characteristics. A leader has to be selfless. A leader has to be thoughtful. A leader has to want the best for the people that they want to lead. And governance is really then the ability to execute that.
Okay.
That's the way I
Yes.
would look at it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's the way I would look at it. So it's your ability, and of course they intertwine and go hand in hand. But the type of leader you are will depend on what kind of governance we see.
Okay, all right, and that's the point I wanted to, so that there's a connection between, the leadership and the governance. So that you're saying that, in fact, if you want good governance, you have to have good leaders, right?
I accept that fully. And if you're not having good governance, it means something's not right with the leaders.
Something's all right. All right. This is the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings, and of course, I'm here with Mickela Pandy. We are looking at the issue of women, in leadership and governance in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, we've seen over the many years that women, have really broken the glass ceiling, Mickela.
Absolutely.
Even in the parliament, currently we have a dominance of women. leadership, and I think that's good for the health of the nation. When you look at because as you said, quite traditionally we've always seen this as a male dominated world. So women they're rising to the occasion, but we still face a lot of stereotypes. What advice would you give to women who continue to face that sort of barrage of the stereotyping and so we talk about a male-dominated world? Is there any advice that that you can give for women who still struggle with that?
Well, you got to be brave, and you got to be thick-skinned. You really have to. It's not an easy thing, but the advice I would give to anybody is just keep focused on why you're there. What is the goal? What is the objective? And you keep focused on why you're there. And I say so because with all the noise that surrounds us as women, if we pay attention to those things, we turn around, we look left, we look right, we look up, we look down, and we stop looking forward. So sometimes you have to switch off, because some of the nastiest things can be said. Some of the worst trolling, especially now with social media.
Yes.
You have so many platforms to abuse people. And it's never going to be easy. I don't think women politicians are different from anybody experiencing any kind of abuse online. But at the same time, you are living in the public eye.
Yes.
You have to keep focused. You have to keep focused because you will be baited, you will be trolled, you will be so many things. But if you are there for the right reason and you focus on that, pray, your spirituality, your family is a very, very important thing in keeping you grounded and keeping you focused. So those things are important. But as I say, well, my father used to say, and it's a well-known saying. I was telling a young person yesterday. I said, "You don't see people pelting mango tree that not bearing." So you're always gonna accept that. You're gonna expect that kind of thing. To me, if you keep focused, just keep focused. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing it, and accept that you're a human being. You're going to be hurt. Things are going to affect you. Speak to somebody. Speak to a family member, speak to a friend, and sometimes just talking it out makes you feel better.
All right. And this is the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. I'm here live in studio with Mickela Pandy. Mickela, you have been involved in the politics for quite some time, and I say quite some time because your father, has been in politics. We're going way back to the days of the ULF and Club 88 and all of that. So we know the history, very, very colorful history. Did you at any time, even though you've been involved in it, did you at any time thought that you would have been maybe leading a party right now? And we want to talk a little more about the Patriotic Front.
Sure.
Was that ever in your mind's eye?
Absolutely not. 100% no. In politics, things evolve because it is such a very fluid thing that things evolve, things change. You have to make decisions, and I don't think you wake up one day and say, "This is I've set out to do this." So when my father, for example, would have formed the UNC through Club 88,
Yes.
it was because he had the party that he had formed, which was the ULF. They had then from the ULF formed the NER, and then they had gotten fired from that government. It then led, so things happen,
Right.
and you kind of find yourself and get to this position. I don't think it's something that you plan, but again, it's fluid. And it's always moving.
Yes.
Politics is a living, breathing thing, of which you have to make decisions, and which has led me to this position.
All right. And this brings us to the point, Mickela. I want to know a little more, and also for the benefit of our listeners, a little more about the Patriotic Front. Now, it has been one of the political, organizations that actually came out, I would say, just within the last few years, is it?
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about the vision, what you hope, to achieve, and what actually brought you to the point of of creating and leading such a party at this time.
Okay, so first of all, maybe I should do it in a chronological
That's
order.
okay,
Say, where
yes.
did we get? How did we get here?
Yes.
I had been looking I was a former member of parliament under the UNC. And I was the first member of parliament for the constituency of Orput West. It had just been formed. And after that, I was no longer in electoral politics. The leader had changed, and for whatever reasons, she had decided that I should not go back up for that seat, and that's okay. And I hold no grudge against anybody for that, because leaders have to make decisions that they feel that's best, and I can't question that. So I stepped out of electoral politics, and I'm a lawyer by trade. So just went back to practicing law. And like everybody else, you look at how your country is being governed, and I saw it going down one direction, and I said, okay, not a problem, 2010, 2015. And then you looked at 2015, 2020, and I started to see a country going down a path, almost, I don't know if the word is going down a path, or if the word is spiraling in a direction that wasn't really going to leave anything for the young people. And I felt that young people weren't having a voice, and we were in this almost rotating door of politics of two parties, and people didn't have choice, and I decided to speak out. And in I also used to write for the Guardian for about 2 years. So while I was out of electoral politics, I was still in politics. You know, you can be in politics without being in electoral politics.
Indeed, yeah.
And so looking at what's going on with my charitable work, doing non-political things, if we can so call it. And in 2018, I held a meeting in Gaston Court, 25th of May. And I had just put out something on social media, and I said, listen, I'm going to hold this open forum and give people a chance to speak. Because as politicians, you just talk to people and never give people a chance to speak. And I asked people, I said, listen, what do you want? Do you think we should have another political party? And we did a consensus, and people 100% said yes. Didn't really take it so much to heart. We went around the country asking people. And I said, you know what? Giving choice is good. Giving people a choice is good. And we formed a party, and I wanted the party to be different. And by that I mean, it wasn't that we were left wing or we were right wing or we were center or middle center. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to create what you call a humanitarian party. And I'd never seen that anywhere in the world. And that is a party that fights for the welfare, the better welfare of humans. So whether that is that you speak in terms of business, or you speak in terms of youth, or you speak in terms of workers, we all need each other to function. I wanted to also, and this is just some of the vision, I wanted to create a party that was not based on tribal politics. I wanted to see, I had heard from so many young people who were fed up of one or the other, and the racial divide that happens during election time and then during governance. And I said, well, why couldn't, and people would say, who's going to be your base? Who's going to be your base? Your base has to be one or the other. You have no base. I said, my base will be Trinidad and Tobago. That was my view and my vision, and many people thought I was mad.
But you know, Mickela, there's always been the argument about whether this third force has value in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. We've had the polarization, the two-party system, the PNM, the UNC, going way back. That has also been a discussion. So a lot of people, may want to think that that this is a very courageous, effort on your part.
And some may say
silly. You're going to break.
And some may say
you're going to break the stereotype, the political stereotype.
Some may say a dreamer. Somebody has to dream. I'm going to try my best, but it ain't going to be dependent on me. It's going to be dependent on the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and I think we are ready to move out of tribal politics. People have so much that's going on in their lives right now without the basic necessity of life. You think that they're concerned about racial politics? You think the young people are concerned about that? They're concerned about getting a house. The other people are considered how am I going concerned about how am I going to pay my bills? I need a job. These kinds of things. So tribal politics works. But again, there is such a huge percentage of this population that do not vote. And I continuously say, when we have election, the media sends a narrative that is incorrect and disingenuous. And what I mean by that is, during the election, you will see a map of Trinidad and Tobago, and you will see what's yellow and what's red. I challenge them to put a different color to who didn't vote. And you will see that that overpowers the yellow and red that they're showing. And there is this narrative that is pushed that is wrong, and we believe it. And sir, I tell you, I don't call, and I tell the people who support us and the people who don't support us, we are not a third party. If you call me a third party, you've called my place in the race. And that's not fair. I'm a new party, I'm a younger party, and I stand just as much right to put good people forward, to give people of Trinidad and Tobago a choice. Why not? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not say I'm not fighting against anybody. I am fighting for people. My outlook is like that. Our symbol is a heart. Love. We use love as a shield.
And I've heard change and change.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
This is the Citizens Community. Stephen, the top. Mickela, again, have you treated with the and your father has idea of that issue kind of again the polarization the E&M and C what is we why have we uh, been stuck in that um, political state for so many decades?
Because I feel we define unity and coalitions and things like that about parties. I believe in unity of the people. So we have people speaking unity and at the same time dividing people.
Mm.
So unity amongst whom? And then I look at a coalition. Nothing is wrong with a coalition. What is wrong is when you coalesce for the wrong reasons. How is something going to work if you are coalescing for a reason to get into, simply to get into power? Do we believe in the same things? Is there common ground? Or are we forming unholy alliances? Um, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for myself. I believe in unity. Unity of the people. I do not believe in dividing people. You cannot hurt half of your of your population without hurting the other half. And it works. It works for them because it worked for the British.
Yes.
Divide and rule. So everything we fought against to become a republic, to become independent in this country, we have adopted from the same people who enslaved us and continue the wrong that has been done to the people of this country. And I shall not be part of that.
This is the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. I'm here live in studio with Miss Mickela Pandy, and we are on this very, very important topic: women in leadership and governance. And the discussion, comes at a time when we are also into the throes of the political, season. The parties have begun campaigning. We've been seeing and hearing so much on the platform over the many months, and I suppose that we'll continue to hear and see way into 2025. We're not sure when that date is going to be for the general election.
Which is the next
Any
problem.
any because one of the questions to Mickela is that it has been said that we have a broken political system. We heard about this, election date being in the back pockets of some people. There is the Representation of the People Act, which, when you look at it, there's some real situations that really need to be changed. And your father often talked about constitutional reform.
Yeah.
Your view on where we are in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I know that there's a commission now. There was an attempt to change, at least have some discussion on the constitution, but some people may have seen that as maybe as a political, overthrow or something of that sense. Our constitution. What is your view on it, and do you think that we would ever get to that point where we have true constitutional reform in Trinidad and Tobago?
When the Patriotic Front wins the election, he will get true constitutional reform, because we are the only party that genuinely wants it. And we have not had. My father's actually, I did not know this. When he first went into the Senate, this is before he became leader of the opposition, and I want to believe in 1957 or something like that, and I'm really not sure. His first maiden speech ever in the parliament was about constitutional reform. I didn't know that. It was only when he passed. So you're saying for this man's entire life, he spoke about that. He says the Constitution is archaic. It does not fit in today's society. He said that so many years ago. There is no political will, sir, for constitutional reform, because the Constitution suits the politicians and the parties of the day.
Of the day, yes.
Okay? It doesn't give anybody else a fair chance, and it suits them. We would have seen, in more recent times, 2010, we had a constitutional, the People's Partnership had a constitutional majority, 29 seats, to the PNM's 12. Sir, do you know what that meant? They could have brought reform to this country, and the PNM did not even have to turn up. What they said.
Because they had the majority, yes.
That's it.
They had the majority.
5 years. Why didn't you do it? Because there was no political will to do it. The PNM has no political will. No, you don't need a constitutional majority to do it. Put it to the table and let the opposition, whoever it may be, support it. They have no interest in doing that. I am sorry, with all respect to these commissions and reports, that has been going on since before I was born. So anytime an election is coming out, you throw a little crumbs of constitutional reform to the people, and you say, and I'm having this survey and this discussion and what. And what is it? Absolutely nothing. Because it works for them today, and they don't want change. That's my view.
We'll come back and continue with our discussion in just a moment. I have with me live in studio Ms. Mickela Pandy of the Patriotic Front. We're going to be having some more discussion, getting a little more from Ms. Pandy on this issue of this topic, as a matter of fact, of women in leadership and governance. Stephen Cummings, this is the Citizens Community Forum. And of course, if you feel the need to connect with us, feel free to do so. We are here working our way up to 9 o'clock this evening on the Citizens Community Forum. And of course, our numbers here are 628-19-1981 and 622-1981. You may have a question, you may have a concern. It might be on the politics, it might be on the country, it might be on what have you. Feel free to connect with us. What we'll do at the moment, Mickela, we take a short break and come right back.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
The tickets for the Isaac Kidsmas Christmas are sold out. That's right, completely sold out. We want to say thank you in advance to all those parents that purchased tickets and registered your child. We look forward to seeing you on December 7th as we have a great time on the Isaac compound. Thank you to our sponsors, KFC, Steve's Juices, JD Supermarket, Anton and Sons, JJ Sorrell, Merlin Alexander, Elder Marina.
Stay connected connected. Stay informed with our Isaac Network News team.
As we connect with newsmakers.
Going directly to the source.
Bringing you the news as it happens. Tune in to our weekly packages of up-to-the-hour news as it breaks locally, regionally, and internationally. This is Isaac Network News.
This is the Isaac Network News.
This is Isaac Network News.
This is Isaac Network News. Your team.
Connecting with the newsmakers.
Going directly to the source.
Going directly to the source. Stay informed with our Isaac Network News team.
Stephen Cummings, Kern Clint Tyson, Daniel Foray Kama, Kieran Anthony, Tessa T. Sampson, your Isaac 98.1 FM News Team.
The University of the West Indies has the capacity to generate its own funding, or at least part funding. Is that what I'm getting from you?
Yes, Stephen, thank you very kindly. You have put it in a precise language. If they have been doing that, it is to a minuscule extent.
Somebody tried to ask me so earlier on. I said, brother, let me do good. Sometimes, even as a person, you ain't sure what you want, but you're absolutely sure what you don't want. And workers are absolutely certain that this 2% that is on offer is an insult.
2% over an 8-year period and tell your boy you go through this now. You know things are hard. No. Are we living in a different Trinidad and Tobago? And that is what we have to discuss.
Discussion on health, leadership, governance, crime, education, and social justice. Every Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m., the Citizens Community Forum. Your host, Stephen Cummings. Welcome back to the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. I'm here live in studio with Mickela, Pandy. We may have a caller on the line, do we? Hello, caller. Good evening to you. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Cummings.
Good evening to you.
Ms. Mickela, good night.
Good night, sir.
Right. So I don't have a problem with a female running the country once she's not easily manipulated or persuaded into doing anything that will harm the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago. She deserves a chance because a woman sometimes run the home even though the man is there. So, you know, she may have mother quality in her that she will have a kind heart towards the citizens and not being so harsh like what we are going through presently, right? So she deserves a chance, and she also have my support, right? Because a change is needed at this point of time. I know it's called basically based on politics or whatever, but that's what we are. Mr. Cummings, what I would like you to do, like next topic is the ambulance services in Trinidad and Tobago. Is it effective? You know, that's all it. Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mickela, you have a supporter there.
So one person would at least vote for me.
Yes,
Thank you,
indeed.
sir. I'm grateful.
But the caller raised an issue as well about the ambulance services. But I'm just using that as an example of some of the social ills within the society of Trinidad and Tobago. There's so many broken systems that we have, and you tend to think that where can we begin to really treat with some of those issues? That might be one instant, an ambulance service. We have an issue of crime. We have so many other issues. But let's see if we have another caller. We'll come back to that in a short while.
No problem,
Caller,
sir.
good evening to you. Welcome.
Hi, pleasant good evening to you and your guest there, Mickela Pandy.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Listen, I have listened to your father for years, and one of those guys who lives in St. Anne's area, so I'm not in the south.
Okay.
So you have support on this side. What I would like to say is tonight, because we're less than a year from now, we expect to have an election.
Yes.
And certainly I would like to see you on the platform. But I want to make a suggestion. I hope that you think about it during the course of the program and as time goes on.
Yes.
We have several small parties and we have two major parties. From all indication, and we have to be frank with each other, those two major parties seems to have their own ideology about winning government. And a lot of people in this country are not happy with both of them, both the UNC and by extension the PNM. We have the NTA, we have your party, which I've listened to a lot of things on the platform. And I'm suggesting tonight that if you could seek some form of alliance, and I'm saying so because if you look at Europe in recent times, and even in Africa,
A lot of young parties just emerge and people just go at it because they're fed up of the old party.
Yeah.
And merge and come with something that the country could buy into.
Yes.
Don't believe that you and I seen it Franco, man. I like Gary Party. Get together. You know your base, they know their base, and you have a good campaign.
Yeah.
And I am telling you tonight, you all could shock this country against those two major parties. Because the country is tired and fed up. It's weary.
Yes.
And once you get together, and I only mention that party, I don't know of the others. I am telling you, the South going to support you, and North are going to support you with a merger of that party. And take it from me. That will make a big difference in Trinidad. Because you're young, you're vibrant, you have what it takes, you're articulated, and I think the country going to buy into you.
Thank you for your advice, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Some more advice there, Mickela.
I always welcome it. I always welcome it. I always welcome it. I mean, you have to listen to people, and that's one of the problems that we face in Trinidad and Tobago. Politicians don't listen to the people. They have their own idea, their own what they want, and you throw it on people. As opposed to listen to people. So I'm always grateful and humbled and thankful for anyone who wants to express their thoughts to me. I appreciate that.
Our telephone lines are lighting up, Mickela.
Oh,
let's see who's
okay, no
on the line.
problem. Thank
Caller,
you.
good evening to you. Welcome. All right, okay. So again, usually have lots of recommendations, especially on this basis of politics, as to what people think that should be done. But as you said, it's always important to listen to what the ground is saying, and I know that you work quite a lot on that level, the grassroots level, in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Mickela, I've had several interactions with your dad over the many years. Quite a gentleman. I might be a bit biased here, but I must say that he's probably one of the best prime ministers that we've had in Trinidad and Tobago. Always witty, always jovial. He was that type of person, that type of people person.
Yes.
I want to play something. I had an interview, telephone interview with him.
Oh.
I want to play something that I believe can identify with what we were talking about. But it had to do with an issue with Mary King. I don't know if you remember. There was some issues surrounding Mary King many years ago, and I had to call him on the phone to get his views and get his perspective. Let's see if we can probably just get a listen. All right, we would be, I hope, able to get that in just a moment. Let's see if we can get that. All right. While we are working on that, Kayla, I'm sure that's going to come up in a while. So we've had again, this question came back relative to this question of unity, and I think that has also been a call from many citizens. Why don't we get together? Because there seems to be even more of you talked about the colors. We probably need to have another color within Trinidad and Tobago than opposed to just the red and the yellow. And you're not seeing where that is, even that is being done. But when you look at it overall, in Trinidad and Tobago, would we ever get out of this two-party system that we've been entrenched, for so many decades? You think that is possible at all? We tried many formats, Mickela. The coalition never worked. They get into, some people might call it a marriage of political marriage of convenience, and it just never worked.
We need constitutional reform, and that is the reality. And sometimes what happens is when you have constitutional reform, you can then get electoral reform, and then perhaps we begin looking at the first past the post system, whether that is fair, whether that is reflective of the will of the people. and we therefore may have to look at proportional representation or some kind of form of proportional representation. There are things like the alternative vote. There's all different things to look at, but we have to look at it genuinely.
Yes.
But first past the post system means that
Winner take all.
winner takes all,
Yeah.
even if you're not the winner.
Yes.
And it promotes and feeds tribal politics in Trinidad and Tobago, which, as I say, is working for the two parties that exist now. So I can't see that there's what may happen is one way a new party may simply replace one of the others, and we have seen this happen before, because when we had gotten independence and became a republic, we would have had the PNM and the DLP.
Yes.
My father formed the ULF and wiped out the DLP, so then it was the PNM and the ULF. Then I think that they formed a coalition and we formed the NER. The NER got 33-3. That fractured with the NR Robinson firing John Humphrey, Travis Adama, and my father. And when that happened, we formed the UNC, and the UNC wiped out the NER.
Yes.
So one can wipe out the other, or one of them. Who knows? The Patriotic Front may wipe them both out. But I'm being cheeky. But like I say, it's the will of the people. Systems, people change systems. People change norms. People change customs. And when they talk about you split the vote, you are assuming that a party owns your vote. And that is the first incorrect thing. Nothing owns your vote. That is the one thing you own that no one can take away from you. It is yours. It is precious. And no party, because of your ethnicity, owns your vote. So I don't know whose vote they're talking about that I'll split. And if they're saying it is going to be the UNC's vote, I find that to be a tremendously racist comment.
All right. Again, this is the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings, and I'm here with Mickela Pandy. We are discussing women in leadership as well as governance in Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to this, Mickela.
Stephen Cummings here, calling you from 98.1 FM News and Current Affairs. We wanted to just have a brief comment from you. Wonder if you can get just a brief comment from you. We know that there's been lots written in the press, and more specifically, we're talking about the issues surrounding former Senator Mary King. And the Attorney General has taken a course of action, as well as the Prime Minister. And there is, the jury is out. The debate is whether, in fact, the matter surrounding Mrs. King should have initially gone maybe to the Integrity Commission instead of having gone through the channels before. As if you were Prime Minister, is it that you would have taken that course of action, having seen or read or gotten the information that you had?
No, I would not. I think the Prime Minister had no choice but to remove her from office. I recall when I had complaints of corruption against Dhanraj Singh. He was Minister of Local Government. I removed him from office. I revoked his appointment.
So you will follow that course of action?
Yes, if the Prime Minister finds out that one of our ministers has acted in a way that compromises his or her position, I think the Prime Minister has a duty to act, and that act would be removal. For example, certain allegations are being made against Mr. Warner. I wonder what she's going to do about that.
There's also been, said that we still live in a country where you're innocent, until proven guilty.
Yes, I know that. But in politics, if your action is such that it lends to a perception of wrongdoing, then you have to act.
Mr. Pandy, would you say that this latest turn of events would have lent itself to an increase in maybe probably a credibility problem within this current administration?
Yes, I certainly do. As a matter of fact, I see on the papers that the Prime Minister herself admits that this is a stumbling regime. And she said they will stumble, but they will get up. But I think the way things are going, it seems that they'll stumble for 5 years.
So that has been your. So I guess we're all looking forward to what would be the turn of events. The matter now, based on what the Prime Minister said, is now in the hands of the Integrity Commission.
I don't know what is in the hands of the Integrity and DPP and so. What is it there?
She's saying that the findings, based on the information that she got from Mrs. King, which was then passed on to the Attorney General. The Attorney General is now saying that whatever information he has, records, he has passed that on to the Integrity Commission.
Well, and the Integrity Commission, I imagine, will look at it and see what they ought to do.
Do you think that there's going to be any, maybe charges being laid?
I cannot say because I do not know what all the facts are. For example, there is an allegation that she had in fact informed the Prime Minister and that the Prime Minister had approved all of that. I don't know whether that's true or not. All of that will come out.
All right. Also, Mr. Pandy, we want to thank you so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.
Okay then, bye-bye.
All right, Mickela, one in several interactions I've had with your dad, someone who was never afraid to take action, someone who was never afraid to speak out on behalf of the people, even sometimes to, we talk about the popularism and being a populist, and he was always that person to give a comment and to see things, in a particular way. As I said, I've had many interactions with that, and I just wanted to, I thought it was important to play that interview for you. Your reaction, your response to that, you probably would not have heard that.
No, but I could have predicted what he would have said, as
Yes.
I'm sure you probably could have as well. Yes, he was never afraid because he believed very fiercely in integrity and truth and honesty and being open, and he believed in that, and he didn't govern for anybody else besides the people. And so I'm not surprised at all that would have been his reaction. And it's the first time I've heard his voice, so it was very moving. But
Refreshing,
yes. Refreshing, yes, refreshing.
This is the
I miss him a lot.
Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. We may have another call on the line. Caller, good evening to you. Welcome. Okay. We have a caller who gets excited on a Wednesday.
Oh, lovely.
whatever.
Is she excited?
Yeah,
Tell
she
me what
gets-
she's excited about.
Well, she calls ever so often.
And screams?
Yeah, kind of, screams. But
Well, we should still say hello to her. Good evening, ma'am.
hello. Okay, she's gone off the line. All right, this is the Citizens Community Forum. I have with me live in studio Miss Mickela Pandy, and we're talking about women in leadership as well as governance in Trinidad and Tobago. One of those, very, very important topics as we look at the political landscape in Trinidad and Tobago at the moment. Mickela, looking at Trinidad and Tobago, looking at the politics and, where we've been. Of course, we came out of that colonial British system. There's some things that we still hold on to. When we look back, there's been discussion now about moving away from some of those things that we grew up knowing. For example, replacing the Columbus ships and with the steel pan. Incrementally, we've been looking at all these different things in Trinidad and Tobago. The Patriotic Front, how do you see the future of Trinidad and Tobago? Is that something that you believe the party also espouses in forging its own identity, as it were, instead of holding on to some of those things? Because these are some of the questions that the population want to know a little more about. What does the Patriotic Front stand for?
Sure.
How do you,
Oh, sorry. So first of all, we saw that happening in Europe. It began, and they were pulling down statues, and we saw that, and we tend to mimic things in Trinidad. I think history is important because you have to know where you came from to know where you're going. And I don't feel that it has to be one or the other. We can incorporate our own identity without getting rid of the past. I don't understand why we have to say, well, it must be this or that. Your history is important. Your history can be good, your history can be bad, and we look at it in its entirety in a holistic way, which will guide us to say, what do we need to change? But we are reminded this is how it was.
Yes.
Which is why we need to change it. To me, I know there was an issue about the steel pan amongst the ships, and I did not really pay too much attention of it, and I'll tell you why. I think people in this country have much bigger problems to deal with, and we want to hear from our leaders on those issues: food prices,
Yes.
crime,
Joblessness.
youth unemployment. Correct, youth unemployment, bad roads, and we can go on and on. Gang violence, food price. I mean, the amount of things. I don't think changing anything is going to improve the lives of anybody. And therefore, as a leader of the Patriotic Front, that ain't my priority. That ain't my 100-day plan. That's not going to be what is going to improve people's lives. Changing that. Okay, maybe it might bring patriotism. Patriotism is a lot more than what these things look like. Keep focused. How am I going to improve the lives of people? Me moving 3 ships going on a coat of arms could improve anybody's life. What is it going to cost the country to do that? I'd like to hear that if we must discuss it. And could that money be used to do something else that will benefit the lives of people? So when we in the Patriotic Front sit down to think about policy, and then we're thinking about flag and ship and cone and sky, and I think about that. We're thinking of how we're going to improve people's lives. We are on the ground to find out what is the problems that people are going through, that young people. And that's what's important. So we're not focusing on the history and what flag and colour and coat of arms and ship and those kinds of things. That hasn't been part of the discussion, because I do not think it falls within the priority of this country and the people of this country right now.
All right. Mickela, I want to touch a bit on the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago as well. That continues to top the headlines. I mean, every day you open the newspaper, you listen to the news, you hear tragic type issues, and there's even the discussion, which I think is part of the UNC's view towards arming citizens. What is the Patriotic Front's view on treating with crime, and how do you propose to bring a greater level of citizens' security and safety? These are some of the things.
Of course, I'm happy that you're asking. Thank you so much. First of all, you have to have political will and want to change the situation and improve the crime situation. It is the truth that crime in this country benefits a lot of people. It benefits a lot of people in high places. And therefore, you haven't seen the political will to do it. Crime is multifaceted. We need to, and we haven't looked at this yet, what are the root causes of crime? And how do we address those causes? The societal problems, the breakdown of family, education failing the youth. There's so many. What are the root causes? You need to address the root causes of crime. Okay. When you're looking at crime, because it's multifaceted, there are different parts to it.
Yes.
You've got to look at prevention. And that's when you look at the root causes.
Yes.
You have to look at detection. Okay?
Yes, which we have very
which
detection
is
rate is
terrible.
very low.
It is very low.
Very low.
So that's why. When you get detection, you have to look at prosecution. That's when you're looking at the court system, which has failed, which is in itself in need of reform. And then you have to look at rehabilitation, which nobody speaks about. And I have often said that not everybody who commits a crime is a born criminal. We are in dire straits in this country, and there are people who are doing things that probably thought they would have never done in their lives. I can't sit in judgment of them, but we do not look at rehabilitation. We do not look at the prison system in this country. So we can't just say, I'm going to buy more police cars.
Yes.
How's that going to do anything? Every time you look at it, you have more police cars. Yet you have policemen and policewomen. We're talking about women today. Policewomen telling me, they have to buy their own stockings as part of their uniform. They have to buy their own handcuff. They're wearing bulletproof vests that have the lifespan of 10 years, and it's now 15 years that they're going in. You don't want to solve crime if you're not looking at these issues. We have not computerized police stations. Okay, so San Fernando Police Station or Monrepo don't know what Gasparillo doing, don't know what
There's a
Bessel
disconnect.
Street doing. There's a
disconnect.
disconnect.
Yes.
So if you have the political will to deal with crime, you think you need a master's or a PhD to know this? The people listening will tell you basic things that you can do. When my father was there, he had the E99 service. They dismantled that. When my father was there, he had VIMCOT, Vehicle Maintenance VMC, Company of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay? And that was so that they will always have a police car available. So as something goes wrong with one, the Vehicle Maintenance Company of Trinidad and Tobago will repair it. So you can't say that there is no police car to come when you're calling the police. Okay? You don't buy more. Governments don't realize, and politicians don't realize, they are there to manage the resources of the people temporarily and then go their way. It does not belong to them. And when we begin to empower people and let them know that all the state land belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that the pitch lake belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that the oil belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that the gas belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that this country belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago and not politicians and the government, people will start to empower themselves and make better choices.
All right. This is Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. We may have a call on the line. Caller, good evening to you. Welcome. Mickela, again, what...
I think we got to meet this lady, sir. I'm interested in her.
Hello, caller. Hello.
Yeah? Yes. Hi, my darling. How are you? Okay. Okay, dear. Well, you have a good night. We're thinking about you.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much for connecting with us.
You know something, sir. I just want to say something. You know, people don't know or have any avenue to express how they feel. It is almost the way that governments have treated with people. If a man, as we are on this topic of women, if a man treated a woman that way, we would call it abuse. It has become an abusive relationship between governments and the people. We would say this isn't, you don't treat people like this. And you treat them bad for 4 years. And the 5th year, I throw you some crumbs and you fight each other for it. And then you do what I want you to do, and then I come back and I get it and I suffer you again. And we ask, why do you keep coming back? I don't blame people. Why do you keep coming back and voting for the same people that treat you bad? You know, there's sometimes, sir, women who are abused, and we ask them why you keep coming. Because they have you, they're dependent on these men. As the people of this country have become dependent on the government. Every single thing that we are suffering today in this country is done by design, sir. I believe it.
All right. Mickela, I see we have just a few minutes again before we put a wrap on the program.
It was quick.
Going into 2025, we talked about crime a short while ago. What do you think, is actually what would be in the public's eye? And what are the main issues, going into 2025 that you believe the population will be very much concerned about? As I said, we talked about crime. What do you see as forming that national conversation going into 2025? Because that in itself would determine how people vote as well. Issues that impact their lives.
I can only say from what I'm hearing on the ground, I believe it is crime. I believe it is the economy. And by the economy, I mean affordability, food prices, jobs. And I feel corruption. I don't speak of corruption on its own though. I believe we need to talk about waste. We need to talk about mismanagement. And we need to talk about corruption. If the people who sit in government and those who have sat there before were in a company, they would have been fired. And we have to ask the people of Trinidad and Tobago, if you were investing your own money in a company, would you hire any of the people who are sitting there right now? And if the answer is yes, I say go ahead. And if the answer is no, well, then look at your other options. And the patriotic front is that. Give us a chance. Listen to us. You'll be hearing our views and our thoughts. We can do it. We can do it. Bring change to this country.
Mickela, I want to give you the final moments as well to speak to women in Trinidad and Tobago. We talk about women in leadership, coming back to that point again, and what you believe should be that central focus point that you want to leave with them. Of course, we're talking women leadership and governance. Give us some closing remarks in that regard.
That's a huge question. I love it. I would like women to stand up. I would like them to be brave. I'd like them to speak out. I'd like to see more women acting as role models for the younger women in society. I'd like women to speak about issues that affect women, but I'd like them to also involve men in the conversation. Because we cannot do it alone. Yes. And I do not intend as a leader and a female leader to do it alone. We need everybody to have all hands on deck, but for women to be brave and to stand out and be the example and set the example for the younger ones beyond us. And we could do below us. We could do it. We can do it. There's much we can speak about, but speak about it in a positive way. Bring positive messaging, not negative messaging. Talk about solutions, encourage others. And that way we will build a society into what we all envision it to be, a safe and happy and prosperous place for us all.
All right. So your next campaign, when is that?
Well, actually tonight at 8 o'clock, and I had to come and see you, so I'm very thankful for you inviting me. Tonight at 8 o'clock, I've started, it's the second episode, I've started something, it's on YouTube, and we can get it on Facebook and Instagram. It's called The People's Mic.
People's Mic, okay.
Yes, so you can listen to us on Tuesdays, and we continue our walkabouts and things like that. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and Mickela, we also want to thank you for taking the time to come in and chat with us on the Citizens Community Forum. I want to extend the invitation, again, feel free to connect with us especially as we go into 2025. It's going to be a keenly contested season politically. And you have broken the ceiling, glass ceiling, in terms of women and leadership and so on. But I must ask you this before I go.
Sure.
Do you feel pressured at all? Coming on the your father. I mean, to have to look back and to see, that sometimes there's this expectation that, listen, this is the daughter of a former prime minister. Pandy is a huge political figure in Trinidad and Tobago. Do you feel pressured?
No, not at all. I feel motivated and driven because I got to do better.
Okay, Mickela, we have to leave it at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And thank you for coming in and talking with us. Mickela Pandy there. We were talking on women and leadership and governance on the Citizens Community Forum. I'm Stephen Cummings. We will have another program for you on Wednesday next. Of course, the discussion continues. Whether it be health, crime, politics, leadership, you hear it all here on the Citizens Community Forum. So we'll see you on Wednesday. Mickela, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live from the Workers' Rights Network. Now, to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, what is important is this. Now, what Mickela Pandy is saying there, she not wrong, you know. I mean, from what I would have heard, Mickela Pandy is a matter of fact describing a Trinidad and Tobago, the perfect ideal Trinidad and Tobago, how it should be, how we should want it to be. But however, we end up in a quagmire like this. We end up in a situation where we end up, is either or, and no political party have ever since was able to break that barrier. Although we would have watched, anytime we watch the map, we see how much red, how much yellow. But there is a third element that many of the political divide do not pander to. And they are actually more than what we already have here, or what does follow the two party. But nobody haven't been able to capture them. And the only entity that is able to get rid of the PNM at this point in time, take it or leave it, is the UNC. That is the only entity that could really get rid of the PNM. So, no matter how seductive some of the information is concerning this perfect Trinidad and Tobago, this utopia, people don't change quickly. It takes periods of time for things to happen. However, we don't have the luxury of time in Trinidad right now. Critical decisions need to be made. So where we are right now, instead of the divisive type of politics, instead of the vision that exists today, we must unite underneath an umbrella that could take us out of this quagmire. A third party, it will take decades, a matter of fact. Something that, as I say, we do not have the luxury of time. So no matter how seductive these ideas are, it ain't gonna work. It will not work. And as much as how much you might like a particular entity, or dislike a particular entity, like or dislike, we ought to do things today that could benefit a country and a society at whole. Otherwise, we will die together here. I think it was one of the brothers that would have said, is either we live together as brothers or we die together as fools, as enemies, a matter of fact. So just a food for thought, a very powerful interview, very impactful. But say what, we are living in an imperfect world. And we must use the avenues that we have before us. Again, my name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. Right now is 11:22, and at this point in time, I am signing out. But we urge you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, be cognizant of what is before us and also what is against us, and to know to differentiate who is our enemy and who we must now embrace as friends. To save Trinidad and Tobago, it takes all of us. It takes a collective understanding. It takes a different breed and a different type of politics. The old must be done away with, and we must embrace the new. What we are accustomed to, what we are accustomed hearing, are no longer the solution. It may have been the solution back then, but it is destroying us today. Yes, at one point in time, the PNM would have been the answer in terms of the Republic and a unified Trinidad, but it is no longer. It take a 1970 revolution that would have came about to obstruct the dynamics, the dictatorship, and it's rearing its ugly head up here again. Yeah, I'm a little local twang. It's rearing its ugly head. And this is a call for you, Trinidad and Tobago. Stand up, stand together, stand strong, and let's unite and get rid of this problem once and for all. So with that, I am